The door swung open, and Marcus's grin filled the frame. "Callum, you made it. Get inside, man." I stepped in, shaking his hand before he pulled me into a quick hug. "Of course I made it. You bought a house. I had to see it." He laughed, proud, showing me around the hallway lined with boxes. "We're still unpacking, but Eleanor insisted on hosting anyway. She wants everything perfect." When he said her name, I finally noticed her standing at the end of the corridor. She didn't smile. Her arms were crossed, her posture sharp, her eyes fixed on me with a coldness that felt deliberate. Marcus gestured. "Eleanor, this is Callum, my pain of a little brother." I forced a friendly smile. "Nice to finally meet you." Her lips barely moved. "So you're Callum? Not a question? Not a greeting? Just a judgment." Marcus laughed, oblivious. "Ignore her tone. She's exhausted. The move has been hell." Eleanor turned without another word and walked toward the kitchen. Marcus shrugged and led me in. We sat at the dining table while she opened a bottle of wine. She wore a fitted red dress that caught the light every time she moved. I tried not to notice how it clung to her waist, how her hair fell just enough to frame her face, but my eyes betrayed me. Marcus poured himself a drink. "So how's work? Still at the firm?"
No.
"Yeah, long hours, but I'm managing." Eleanor finally spoke, still facing the counter. "That sounds dull." I blinked. "Pardon?" She turned slightly, her eyes cutting through me. "Long hours, managing, sounds like you're just surviving." Marcus chuckled. "That's Eleanor for you." "Brutally honest?" I forced a polite nod. "Maybe, but survival has its rewards." Her gaze lingered a second too long before she looked away. Marcus filled the silence. "Callum's always been the stubborn one. He never lets anything break him." "Maybe that's why he looks tired," Eleanor said. Marcus laughed again, completely blind to the sharpness in her tone. Dinner passed with Marcus telling stories, filling the room with his voice. I answered when he asked me things, but every time I glanced at Eleanor, she was already looking at me, quick, sharp, like she hadn't meant to be caught. When she noticed me catching her, she covered it with a smile directed at Marcus. A smile too polished to be real. Later, Marcus excused himself to take a call, leaving me alone with her. She set her glass down and finally looked straight at me. "You stared too much?" I leaned back. "Do I?" "Yes, and I don't like it." "You're the one watching me." Her lips curved, not a smile, not a frown. "You think I'm watching you?" "I know you are." She stepped closer, pouring another glass of wine, though hers was still half full. "Confidence doesn't look good on everyone. Neither does hostility," I said. Her eyes narrowed again. "You're sharper than I expected." Marcus returned, cheerful, carrying dessert plates. "What did I miss?" "Nothing," Eleanor said quickly, her voice smooth again. "Just getting more wine." The evening dragged into laughter and stories, though none of mine felt genuine. I couldn't stop replaying the way she looked at me when Marcus wasn't paying attention. By the time I stood to leave, "Come back soon, your family. This house isn't complete without you around." I smiled at him. "I will." Eleanor walked me to the door without being asked. The hallway was quiet, dim, just her and me. I muttered, "Good night." Leaned in as if adjusting the door, her shoulder brushing mine, her voice low enough that Marcus couldn't hear from the kitchen. "I don't like you," she whispered, her breath warm against my ear. "But I see the way you look at me." Door clicked shut behind me, and I walked into the night with my pulse pounding harder than it had in years. Marcus clapped me on the back as soon as I walked into the living room. "You're becoming a regular here. Eleanor was just saying we should have you over more often." I looked at her. She sat across the room, arms crossed, legs tucked under, her expression unreadable. "I don't remember saying that," she muttered. Marcus laughed. "She plays hard to please, but she loves company." I forced a smile. "I wouldn't want to intrude." "You already have," Eleanor said flatly. Marcus waved her off. "Ignore her. Leave it. She'll warm up eventually."
Else.
I sat beside him on the couch. "You sure about that?" He chuckled, oblivious. "Absolutely." Eleanor rose and walked to the kitchen. "Dinner will be ready in 10. Her tone was sharp, but the way her eyes cut toward me before she turned away twisted something. In my chest, Marcus leaned back, stretching. She puts up walls, but trust me, she's incredible once you get to know her. I didn't answer. I couldn't at dinner. Marcus talked through most of the meal, filling the air with stories from work. I nodded when he looked my way, but my focus kept slipping to the woman across from me. Halfway through, Eleanor set her fork down. "You chew too loudly, Callum." Marcus laughed. "You're relentless tonight," I swallowed. "Maybe I'll eat more quietly then, or not at all," she said. Marcus shook his head, amused. "You two are going to kill each other." I wanted to snap back, but her gaze held mine for a beat longer than it should have. There was no hatred in her eyes this time. Later, Marcus's phone buzzed. He stood. "Work again. Give me a minute." He stepped into the hall, leaving silence behind him. Eleanor leaned forward, her voice low. "Why do you let him laugh at you like that?" I frowned. He wasn't laughing at me. He always laughs when I cut into you. Doesn't that bother you?
Ow.
I leaned closer without meaning to. "You're the one who keeps cutting into me." Her lips twitched. "Maybe I just want to see how much you can take." I exhaled slowly. "Do you want from me, Eleanor?" Her eyes locked on mine. "I want you to stop looking at me like that." "Like what?" "Like you already know what I'm thinking." I swallowed hard. "And what are you thinking?" She hesitated, then pulled back just enough. "Something I shouldn't."
Ah.
Marcus's footsteps returned, and she sat straight, reaching for her wine, as if nothing had passed between us. The night dragged, but the air stayed thick. When Marcus suggested another round of drinks, we shifted in our seats. That was when her knee brushed mine under the table. I froze, didn't move. Marcus didn't notice. He kept pouring, her leg pressed against mine, steady, deliberate. My chest tightened. I wanted to pull away, but I stayed. Marcus raised his glass. To family, I echoed. My voice sounded rough. Eleanor lifted her glass too, but her eyes never left mine. As the night ended, Marcus excused himself again for another call. The moment he left the room, Eleanor leaned across the table. Her face was close, too close. Her voice cut through the silence. "Do you enjoy torturing me like this?" My heart hammered against my ribs. I couldn't answer. I couldn't move. And then Marcus's voice called from the hall. What did I miss? Eleanor pulled back, her expression calm, her glass poised at her lips. "Nothing," she said smoothly. "We were just talking." Ah! But my pulse told me it was everything. Asterisk, the house buzzed with laughter as relatives filled every corner. Ah! Plates clattered, music hummed, and Marcus moved from group to group like the perfect host. I stayed near the back wall, trying not to draw attention. Eleanor floated across the room in a dark green dress, her hair falling loose. I caught her watching me from the other side. I raised a glass. "You seem busy?" "Shh." She tilted her head, then looked away, pretending she hadn't been staring. Marcus's aunt tugged at my sleeve. "Callum, tell me about your work. Marcus brags about you." I forced a smile. "It's nothing exciting, just long hours." She nodded, already distracted by the noise around us. When I glanced back, Eleanor was gone. Later, I slipped into the kitchen to escape the chatter. The quiet hit like a wave, and I let out a breath. Then the door swung shut behind me. Eleanor, she leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "Hiding, maybe?" I said. "You don't like crowds?" "Now when people keep asking questions I don't want to answer." Her eyes held mine. "You're not very good at small talk." I smirked. "Neither are you." She stepped closer, her perfume threading through the air. "Should stay away from me, is that what you want?" "Yes." Her voice was firm, but her hand reached out and caught my wrist. My pulse jumped, then let go. Her fingers stayed where they were, light but unyielding. I said stay away, not disappear. I swallowed hard. "You're playing with fire." She leaned closer. "And you're standing too close." Her breath brushed my jaw. Every instinct told me to pull back, but my body betrayed me. I tilted toward her, my heart pounding. Her lips hovered near mine. "You don't listen, do you?" "No," I whispered. The door creaked open. Marcus walked in with a smile. There you are. Everyone's asking where you vanished. Eleanor dropped my wrist instantly. I was just telling Callum we need more wine. Marcus grinned. Always more wine. Good idea. He glanced between us, oblivious, then grabbed 2 bottles from the counter. I forced my voice steady. I'll help you carry them. No need, he said cheerfully. You both stay. Enjoy the quiet. I'll take care of it. He left as quickly as he came. The silence returned, heavier than before. Eleanor turned back to me, her eyes sharper now.
Ow.
Do you see what you're doing? You're the one pulling me in, I said. She shook her head, but the way her chest rose and fell told a different story. I stepped back, trying to steady myself. This has to stop. Then stop it, she challenged. Neither of us moved. The voices from the living room swelled again, muffled through the door, in the kitchen. The air was thick, pressing us closer, holding us in place. Eleanor's lips parted like she might say something else, but no words came. She reached for my wrist again, softer this time, almost pleading. I whispered. If Marcus had walked in 5 seconds later, what would have happened? Her eyes didn't flinch. Something we wouldn't be able to take back. My chest tightened. Do you want that? Her silence was louder than any answer. The door creaked again. Marcus reappeared, smiling, completely unaware. Perfect. Both of you still here. Come on, dinner's ready. Lenore smiled smoothly. We'll be right. There, he walked out again, humming. I looked at her one last time, my voice low. This is tearing me apart. Her hand dropped to her side, her face unreadable. Good. At least you feel it too. Asterisk Marcus clapped me on the shoulder as we loaded the car. Do me a favor, Callum? Eleanor wants a few things for my birthday. Dinner. Go with her. Keep her company. I froze for a second, but Eleanor spoke first. Fine. Let's get it over with. We drove in silence until she pulled into the store car park. She unbuckled her seatbelt and glanced at me. You hate this as much as I do, don't you? I shook my head. That's not true. Then what is true? That you don't hate it either? She stepped out, slamming the door harder than necessary. Inside, Marcus's list kept us moving aisle to aisle, but tension hung heavier than the groceries in the cart. When we reached the wine section, she picked up a bottle and held it out. This one? I leaned closer to check the label. My hand brushed hers. She didn't pull away. Her voice dropped to a whisper. You don't know how much I hate wanting you. My pulse hammered. Then stop looking at me. Her breath caught. I can't. I stepped back, forcing myself to focus. Marcus is trusting us. Marcus trusts too much, she said bitterly. We paid and left, but the silence in the car was louder than any argument. Back at the house, Marcus greeted us with a smile. You two work well together. Maybe I should send you on errands more often. Eleanor forced a smile. Maybe not. I laughed weakly. I don't think she enjoys my company. Marcus looked between us. You're both terrible liars. Eleanor froze. What do you mean, look at you? You act like enemies? But I swear you've got the same expressions half the time. Eleanor rolled her eyes. Don't be ridiculous. Marcus shrugged. Just saying what I see. Dinner went on as usual, but every time Eleanor moved past me, her hand brushed mine. Her shoulder grazed mine. Her gaze lingered too long. The game wasn't accidental anymore. Later that night, Marcus left to meet a friend for a quick drink. Eleanor and I ended up in the living room, an ocean of silence between us. She broke it first. Why don't you ever say no? To what? Me. I stared at her. Because you don't want me to. Her jaw tightened. You think you know me? I don't have to think. I feel it every time you look at me. She crossed the room slowly, standing close enough that I felt the heat of her body. Should leave before you ruin everything. Then stop calling me into this game, I whispered. Her eyes softened for just a second, then she turned away. You think I like this? I don't. I stood. Liking it isn't the problem. Needing it is. Her breath caught again, and for a moment I thought she might admit it. Instead, she grabbed her phone and walked off. I left soon after, my head spinning. When I got home, my phone buzzed. A message lit the screen from Eleanor. If you tell anyone what almost happened today, I'll deny everything. But I can't stop thinking about it. I dropped the phone on the table, my hands trembling. The game had started, and neither of us was willing to stop. Sophie smiled across the cafe table. So, Callum, are you always this quiet on first dates? I forced a laugh. I'm better once I loosen up. Honest. She tilted her head. Shh. You don't strike me as shy, just distracted. I stirred my coffee. Maybe I'm both. Her eyes softened. You don't have to force anything with me. I wanted to believe that, but my mind refused to stay here. Every smile she gave me reminded me of someone else. When we walked out, I offered to drive her home. She touched my arm as she got in. Second date? She asked. Yeah, I'd like that. The lie scraped my throat. The next evening, Marcus had everyone over. Sophie came too, invited through a mutual friend. Eleanor spotted us the moment we walked in. Her eyes narrowed before she turned to pour wine. Sophie whispered, Is that your brother's wife? Yeah, she's stunning. I nodded, though. The word didn't touch what Eleanor did to me. Later, as Sophie laughed with Marcus, Eleanor cornered me near the hallway. So that's the type of girl you like? Her voice dripped venom. She's kind, I said carefully. She makes things simple. Eleanor's jaw tightened. Simple. Is that a compliment? It's what I need right now. Her eyes flashed. What you need is to stop playing with me. You're the one playing games. Her fingers curled. Against the wall beside me? Do you think I don't notice how you look at me? You're married to my brother? Her breath shook. You make me lose control. The words pierced deeper than anything she'd ever said. For the first time, she wasn't angry. She was afraid. I stepped closer, lowering my voice. Then stay away from me, she whispered. I can't. Marcus's voice echoed from the kitchen. Callum, Sophie, you two want another drink? Eleanor pulled back fast, her mask snapping into place. Go, before I do something stupid. Dinner. Sophie touched my hand under the table. Eleanor's gaze burned holes in me. Every laugh Sophie gave me twisted Eleanor tighter. She smiled through it, but I saw her knuckles whiten around her fork. After dessert, Sophie excused herself to the bathroom. Eleanor leaned across the table. You'll regret this. I clenched my jaw. Why? Because I'm not sitting around, waiting for you to decide how you feel? Her lips parted, but she said nothing. Later, when Sophie and I left together, Eleanor's eyes followed us to the door. Sophie leaned against my car, smiling. Your family's intense. One word for it. She laughed lightly. I don't know what's going on, but your sister-in-law couldn't stop staring at you. My chest tightened. You're imagining things, oh, she said softly. I know jealousy when I see it. I didn't answer. The next day, Marcus asked me to help fix the shed roof. We worked in silence for a while, the sound of hammering, filling the gaps. Then he put his tool down and looked at me. Callum, I need to ask you something. What's that? Is there something going on between you and Eleanor? The world stopped. Asterisk Marcus stood on the roof beam, wiping sweat from his forehead. I'll ask again, Callum. Is there something going on between you and Eleanor? I gripped the hammer too tight. No, nothing. Studied me, his eyes narrowing just enough to sting. You're sure? Of course I'm sure. She's your wife? He gave a small nod, but the silence between us wasn't the same anymore. That night, the rain started early. By the time I reached their house, the driveway was slick with water, and the windows glowed warm against the storm. Marcus greeted me at the door. Come in before you drown, he laughed. Slapping my shoulder, Eleanor appeared behind him, her arms folded. Her dress clung to her skin, thin fabric damp from the humidity. She gave me a tight smile, then disappeared. Into the kitchen, Marcus poured drinks for the few friends who had shown up despite the storm. Laughter filled the living room, but every sound seemed distant, muffled by the pounding rain outside. After a while, Marcus's phone rang. He excused himself, muttering something about a client call. The moment he left, Eleanor's eyes flicked to me. "You're quiet tonight," she said. "I'm fine." She stepped closer. "You always say that? You're never fine." I swallowed hard. "Why do you care?" Her lips curved, but her eyes betrayed her. "Because you make me lose every bit of control I've ever had." I shook my head. "You can't keep saying things like that." She leaned in, her voice low. "Then stop looking at me the way you do." The storm raged louder, wind rattling the windows. She slipped past me toward the porch, opening the door just enough for the rain to spray in. I followed without thinking. Outside, the porch light cast a golden glow across her soaked figure. Her dress clung tighter now, outlining every line of her body. She shivered. "You'll catch something out here," I said, pulling off my jacket. "I don't need your pity," she whispered. "It's not pity." I draped it over her shoulders. Her breath caught as my hand lingered near her collarbone. She didn't move away. She leaned into me just slightly, but enough to erase the space between us. Her whisper trembled. "Hey, do you know how many times I've imagined this?" My chest tightened. "Stop. You don't want me to stop." I closed my eyes, trying to summon strength that wasn't there. Her breath brushed my jaw, warm despite the cold rain. My heart pounded so hard, it felt like betrayal in every beat. "Eleanor," I murmured, "if we do this, everything shatters." She tilted her head, her lips hovering near mine. "Then let it shatter." My hand slid against the fabric of her sleeve, gripping my own jacket as if holding her and holding myself back at the same time. "I can't," breathed. "You already have," she whispered. I almost kissed her. I felt the pull, the gravity that promised no return. The storm, the glow, the heat between us, it was all that existed. And then Marcus's voice cut through it. "Callum," I froze. Eleanor stepped back, my jacket still around her shoulders. Marcus stood in the doorway, eyes narrowing as he took. In the scene, his gaze lingered on how close we stood, on the way her body leaned toward mine. "Everything all right out here?" he asked, his tone sharper than before. I forced my voice steady. Yeah, she was cold. I gave her my jacket. Eleanor didn't say a word. She clutched the fabric tighter and turned toward the rain, avoiding his eyes. Marcus looked between us. Suspicion carving lines across his face. For the first time, I wasn't sure he believed me. Asterisk. Marcus's eyes stayed on me longer than I could handle. The porch light buzzed, the rain poured, but nothing drowned out his silence. When we finally went inside, he poured himself a drink and didn't offer me one. He just stared at the glass. "You all right?" I asked, forcing calm. He looked up slowly. "Should I be worried about the way you look at Eleanor?" My chest tightened. "You're imagining things, am I?" His tone was flat, but the bite in it was sharp. Eleanor stepped into the room then, hair damp, still wrapped in my jacket. Marcus's eyes flicked to it. "You could have asked me for one of mine," he said to her. She froze. It was cold. Callum was being polite. The tension was unbearable. Marcus set his glass down hard enough to rattle the table. "I'm going to bed." He walked off without another word. Eleanor glanced at me, panic in her eyes. "He knows." I whispered back, "Then stay away from me." She clenched her jaw. "Do you think I can?" She turned and followed Marcus upstairs. That night I lay, awake in my apartment, staring at the ceiling, replaying every second. His tone, her eyes, my silence. 2 days passed. I didn't hear from either of them. Then Marcus called. "Come by," he said flatly. "We need to talk." When I arrived, the air was heavy. Eleanor wasn't around. Marcus sat at the dining. A table, a beer in his hand, but he wasn't drinking it. "Sit down," he ordered. I obeyed, his eyes locked onto mine. "Do you want my wife?" The question hit me harder than a punch. I stammered, "No, I don't." He leaned forward. "Look me in the eye and say it." I forced the words out. "I don't want her." His gaze didn't waver. He hesitated. "Didn't," I snapped, my voice cracking against the lie. He leaned back, exhaling through. His nose, "You've changed since she came into your life. The way you look at her, the way she looks at you." Do you think I don't see it? I had no defense. Every answer I gave would betray me. Finally, I whispered, "You're my brother. I would never do that to you." His voice was sharp. "Swear it." I swear. He didn't believe me. I could see it in his eyes. The next day, Eleanor texted, "Meet me tomorrow. I need to end this or we'll ruin everything." I stared at the message until my hand shook. I should have ignored it. I should have deleted it. "Dead?" I typed back. "Where?" she replied instantly. "At the cafe on Ashbury Street." Noon, the following morning, I barely breathed as I walked to the cafe. The bell above the door chimed as I stepped in, scanning for her. But it wasn't Eleanor sitting in the corner booth. It was Marcus, his hands folded on the table, his face cold and unreadable. "Sit down, Callum," he said, his voice low and controlled. "We're going to have a real conversation now." Asterisk, Marcus's stare cut straight through me as I sat across from him in the cafe booth. The hum of conversation around us felt distant, meaningless. His voice broke the silence. "Where is she?" I swallowed. "She asked me to meet her." His jaw tightened. "I know. She left her phone out." I read the message. My throat felt dry. "Marcus, I don't lie to me." His fist pressed against the table. "How long has this been going on?" I shook my head quickly. "Nothing happened. Nothing." His eyes burned. "I see the way you look at her. I see the way she looks at you. Don't insult me by pretending." I whispered, "I never wanted this." He leaned in. "Then why can't you stay away from her?" The truth clawed at me. My chest heaved. "Because I feel something I shouldn't. I hate it, but it's there." His eyes closed for a moment, like the words gutted him. When they opened again, rage flickered behind the hurt. "You're my brother. She's my wife. And you're telling me you want her?" Before I could answer, a voice broke in. "Marcus." We both turned. Eleanor stood in the doorway, her face pale, her eyes wide. She walked to the table, ignoring the stares of strangers. "Stop this," she pleaded. "Not here." Marcus's voice was ice. "Why not here? Maybe the whole world should see what kind of woman you are." Tears welled in her eyes. "You don't understand? Then make me understand." Her hands trembled as they gripped the edge of the booth. I tried to hate him. I told myself I did, but I couldn't stop. I couldn't stop looking at him. The words slammed into me. Harder than any confession I could have made. Marcus's face twisted. He shoved away from the booth and stood. "You disgust me," he said to her. Then he turned on me. "And you're worse." My own blood. I stood too, my chest aching. "Marcus, please. I didn't want this. I fought it every second." "You still let it happen?" he spat. Eleanor reached for him. "Marcus, wait." He pulled back violently, his voice breaking. "I don't ever want to see either of you again." He stormed out of the cafe, leaving silence in his wake. Eleanor sank into the booth, her hands covering her face. I sat slowly across from her. My voice cracked. "Why did you say it?" Her shoulders shook, because I couldn't carry the lie anymore. He had to know. And now, she looked at me, tears streaming. "Now we can be together." The words pierced me deeper than I expected. "No, we can't." Her voice rose. "Why not? You feel it too." "You admitted it." "Because he's my brother," I said, my voice raw. "Trusted me. I destroyed that. Being with you would finish him completely." Her lip trembled. "So I lose both of you?" I clenched my fists, holding myself together. "You made your choice the day you married him. And I made mine by walking away now." She shook her head in disbelief. "You'll regret this?" "Maybe, but I'd regret breaking him more." Silence hung heavy. She whispered, "You'll never forget me." I turned, forcing myself to leave, each step harder than the last. Her final words cut through the air, sharp as glass. "And neither will he." I didn't look back. My heart fractured with every step, but I knew it was the only way.